Did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Fucking pronouns!
What's going on, everyone? How you doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to talk about this when I found out about it, when everybody found out about this just a few days ago over the weekend. And there's this, this big, bald British guy. I've never heard of him before. On Twitter, it says his name is Heels versus Baby Faces or whatever. I should probably have looked at it, but I'm assuming he's a wrestling fan. I mean, just looking at him, it's pretty obvious that he's a pro wrestling fan. And he is one of those people that are just stuck in the timeline of 2014 through 2016. You guys remember when the SJWs, or it's easier to classify them or more correct to classify them as progressive ideologues. You guys remember when those progressive zealots were just inserting their ideals into everything that they were involved in? So they were in the gaming industry or in the entertainment industry in general, and they were just putting all their crap into it. Like, it was a movement. It was a movement, and then it largely died off. And that's the thing. These people won't admit that. For either they're just stuck and they want to just continue to be mad, or they realize how lucrative it is because, unfortunately, there's so many dummies that just want to be spoon-fed propaganda. They want to be spoon-fed by a parasocial daddy. And this is one of them, I guess. It's one of those things where it's like, bro, a lot of that stuff has died down. Remember the Gamergate thing? It came and went. The Anita Sarkeesians, the con artists, they came and went. There was to the point where it got all the way up to Law and Order SVU.
They just can't stand women in gaming.
What did they do to you?
They leveled up.
Freaking Logan Paul.
That means you're gay.
They all got involved. There was a movement. And then people were like, this is dumb. Normies on average were like, what are you talking about? This is stupid. I just want to be entertained. Shut up. So it died down. All the buzz feeds, all the MTV News, the Kotakus of the outlets, Polygon, like all that stuff where they were just this wave of like, let's just talk about our politics. People are like, nah, I'm good. It largely died off. There are tiny little remnants, and then these people will try to find anything they can. It's to the point where SJW died off, and then they just revived it with a new term called woke. Because woke is a catch-all term for things they don't like. And what's the biggest thing they don't like right now? Trans people and pronouns. And the thing that's about the pronoun thing, why the pronoun thing is so funny to me is because it's something that we learned in grade school. I remember learning about pronouns in first grade, but we'll get into that in a second. Let's see I want you guys to see this clip. I want you to see of this gentleman. There's a guy named Dan Vast that posted this on Twitter. And it's disappointing because I used to follow this guy because I saw him, he did music covers. And I was like, oh, this guy's cool. Hopefully I can work with him one day. But I didn't know he was a freaking snowflake. I didn't know he was the modern day SJWs screaming and getting triggered by everything. Because that's the thing that we used to make fun of, right? We used to make fun of these crazy people screeching about things that nobody cared about, things that were largely insignificant. But yeah, let's take a look at what this gentleman has to say.
Bethesda, there is nothing I love more than to sit down, comfy chair, turn on my PC, fire up a brand new RPG, lose
RPG, remember that role-playing game.
myself, think, oh my god, just think of this world, just think of all the planets I can visit, all the immersive things that I can get involved with, all the fights, all the relationships, all the people I meet, all the places I go. I'm so excited to go there. And
a lot of options, right? Options? You're talking about options in an RPG game?
No, I love nothing more than, with all of that laid out in front of me, I love nothing more than to be dragged out at every fucking conceivable opportunity.
Oh, what happened?
So you can fucking current day us.
Oh, what happened? Current day? What do you mean? What happened current day? Please explain this to me.
Did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Fucking pronouns!
I have I have heard this clip at least 10 times, and it still elicits this response from me. Like, you gotta think about this. This guy is just creating a character in the new RPG Starfield, right? And then there's just an option to choose what pronoun you want to go by. And most people didn't give it a second thought. Like, say, if you're a dude and you made a dude character, you're just like, oh, he, him. All right, let's go. And then you didn't even think about that. The only people that that probably put some thought into it are people that actually maybe wanted to change them and like, oh, that's cool that I can actually do that. That's pretty cool. And then there's this guy. And then people adjacent to him that freaked out over pronouns. These people think, oh, this is current day stuff. This is current day. Well, no, all it is just updating options. Giving more options, sir. People like options in a role-playing game. The more options you have, the better. Even if you don't use all of the options. I'm somebody, when I play an RPG, a fantasy RPG, I don't use a lot of magic. The most I would do is some sort of like arcane warrior, where I have my swords and a little bit of magic. And then on top of that, I just don't go through all of the options. There's so many classes and so many things. Baldur's Gate 3 came out and there's so many things you can do. There's so many mixtures you can do. And I'm like, I don't know, I like a barbarian and maybe be a little bit of a wizard or something. Like it just a little, and then that's as far as I'll take it. But there's so many other options. There's so many things you can do. And it's cool that there's so many options. There's so many things. There's so many people that can play this game and experiment in so many different ways. And they have similar things when it comes to gender and whatnot. You can swap. It's just the way that a role-playing game should be. More options equals a better experience. You don't have to partake in this in any way, shape, or form. So this fucking genius is saying simply having the option to change them. You don't have to do anything, but just the fact that it's even an option. This is the type of response this guy gives you.
Fucking gender ambiguity! Fucking current day Californian shit!
I love it. I love when like people like that have never been to California or have no affiliation to California. They don't know anything about it. They always just say, oh, this is just like Cali politics or something. They don't understand how things work, right? Let's say the larger the population is that is together, that is living together, it just tends to go blue. It goes left because there's more experience. You have to experience more people. You gain more tolerance because of it. But then when you isolate yourself, when you're man babies, when you're terminally online like this, you just don't understand how the world works. You get triggered by simple things as pronouns being an option in an RPG. Like, maybe I would give this guy some sort of credence if they forced you to use pronouns that you don't prefer. Like if you were like, what? Wait, why do I have to go by she? Why do I have to go by they? I just want to go by he, him. Then you'd be like, this is weird. That is a weird thing to do. Because then I'd be like, this reminds me of something that some dumb progressive ideologue would do. Try to just shove their stuff in and be like, well, let's see if they'll play it now or something. But that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening at all. They just included something, and this guy thinks inclusion and more options is just current day California politics.
Because that's all we fucking know! Because we're boring!
Yeah, that's... I love how that's boring. That's boring. Just choosing an option. It's like, dude hasn't even played the game. And he's like, we're boring.
We're so fucking boring!
I don't need to go over it anymore. I think you guys understand what I'm getting at with this guy right here, and it's how funny it is. So the discourse was actually pretty funny. And like this guy, oh, it's Western gaming. Like this guy, no, he has a problem with just Western gaming. Everything's gay. And this guy's mighty. Imagine thinking this guy screaming and crying about pronouns is mighty. Like, we made fun of people like this back in the day, man. This was the stuff that we thought was silly when you would see people screeching and crying about their dumb ideology. And this guy has a dumb ideology and he's screaming and crying about it. And I just had to like talk because like people were saying, oh, he's correct. He's blowing up over the smallest little thing though. Like, and I'm like, no, he's not correct. Like, how could you think putting in a pronoun option is something to get upset over? Imagine, like I said, well, what if you're just like, all you do is play, you're just a paladin or something. But then, okay, we're gonna add a different fighter class. You know, there's gonna be like some night warrior or something. We're gonna add a different, and imagine seething over that. Something that you don't even care about. At least that's something that you wouldn't even entertain, right? Because it's not what you do. It's not your bag. You're like, no, I just mess with magic, essentially. I mainly mess with magic. I like the whole, you know, religious, and I like being like in some sort of culty paladin thing or whatever. Cool. So who cares about the new classes added? Because you're not going to even mess with them, right? That's how a normal individual would behave. It's like anything else in the world. Hey, McDonald's is adding a new thing to the menu that you probably are not going to eat. Who gives a shit? Why would you care at all? Oh, you don't like this, so you're going to go scream and cry to it about the manager? Hey, I was never going to eat this, manager, but I'm mad that you even added this. You took me out of the immersion of eating at this restaurant, just enjoying exactly what I liked about this restaurant, and now you added this tiny little insignificant thing, and now I'm going to rage and scream and cry. It's like, yo, dude, what's going on with you, buddy? Are you okay, dude? Do you need a hug, man? And this guy, this Dan Vass dude, I just like, look at what he said. He's like, requested a refund for Starfield. Fuck Bethesda and fuck the political radical weirdos in the Western gaming industry. Standing with ideological clown world bullshit. What should be, first and foremost, an escape from it. Back to Skyrim. That is crazy. For a multitude of reasons. First of all, he's condemning he's condemning Bethesda, but yet he's still going to play a Bethesda game in Skyrim. And not only Skyrim has a lot of interesting options too. Hey man, you can be a man in Skyrim and marry a man. You can do a lot, you know, and obviously this guy has a problem with gays because he said Western gaming. So he has a problem with gay people. This guy is obviously a bigot. And he's like, I'm gonna go play Skyrim. It's because it doesn't have a pronoun option, I guess. Like, how soft do you have to be to get to this level? This is more pathetic than any of the SJW stuff that I encountered. Like, there was like maybe Trigglypuff, where we're like, wow, that's embarrassing. That's crazy embarrassing. But I feel like this is even worse, because I feel like Trigglypuff looked like probably 18, 19 or something, just barely getting into the world and just outside of high school or whatever. You're kind of allowed to still make some dummy mistakes. This guy, this fat bald dude, he looks like he's probably 40 years old or more. And he's like, just imagine being this guy, screaming and crying about something like this. Like, you just gotta really check yourself. Like, show the average person Starfield and just the creating a character options and see if any of them are gonna freak out about that. I guarantee you, none of them are. None of them whatsoever will even think a second thought about it. And then there's this guy who literally is freaking huffing and puffing. He's so fired up over this. And Dan Vask, a refund over a pronoun. It's so embarrassing. It's embarrassing because, unfortunately, when people see guys like this, when they see this, this fat bald idiot, they see Gamergate. They see the average gamer. And that's why Gamergate has been remembered negatively. because there were people, there were cooler heads, there were reasonable people try to explain their grievances of what has been going on in the industry, the bad practices when it came to journalism, and so on and so forth. And then you had people like this that were just screaming and crying. And then that's what the people would focus on. And we did the same thing to a certain extent. Like when we see the SJW content, we would focus on the Trigglypuffs and not the reasonable people didn't really show up in my feed. Reasonable people did not really come across my radar. It was always the people that were being the wildest and the loudest and the dumbest and saying the most wildest stuff. So then you see people like this, and then you see what people are saying on the surface that are relatively involved in this stuff. Like, oh, look at this Gamergate snowflake. And you're like, oh, well, there you go. Tarnished because of people like this guy. But what are you going to do but just laugh at this? And seriously, to the people that think this guy has a point at all, you need to go outside. You need to have a life outside of this stupid fake culture war. This culture war that is just propaganda for profit. Fucking pronouns! Oh, man. You gotta love this stuff, man. But anyway, we like to have fun over here. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Take care.